All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Lasting Learning Podcast. As always, I'm so glad you're here. In just a few minutes, you're going to be glad too, because today we have one of the most incredible people on the planet joining us. We have a person I have admired from afar for a long time. She's a jack of all trades, really. She does absolutely everything, and she even has a doctorate in international education. What? Who is that smart to have a doctorate where they have a doctorate in educating the entire world? I mean, that's legit. So today we've got Sarah Thomas here joining us, who's just gonna drop some truth on us and let us know who she is. Sarah, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, Sarah, we know you educate the world, but there still might be a couple people that don't know who you are or what you're about. You mind just introducing yourself?
Sure, absolutely. So, hey, everybody. Hey, listeners. My name is Sarah Thomas, and I wear a couple different hats. So, by day, I'm a regional tech coordinator in a large district in Maryland. I also work as an affiliate faculty, which is a fancy way to say adjunct professor at a local university. And I'm also the founder and CEO of the EduMatch Network. So those are kind of the three things I have my hands in right now.
What was that adjunct professor title?
Oh, affiliate faculty.
I am totally stealing that. That looks so much better on a resume. Affiliate
Right.
faculty. See? Truth right there.
Yes.
Those of you that are adjuncts, change that up. Affiliate faculty. That's sweet.
Switch it up, switch it up. Yeah.
So you said by day you got this job where you're basically running around a district and helping support teachers in classrooms with technology and innovation. But then you got all this side hustle stuff that you do as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So how in the world, first of all, how do you find time to do all of this? How do you find that balance? And where is your passion?
Okay, so the balance thing, that's smoke and mirrors because there is no balance. It's always like chase. I feel like I'm chasing my tail, but I love every minute of it. So, you're my passion is all of it. I feel like, if you kind of think of everything we do in life as like different circles, and kind of put them together as a Venn diagram, then my whole goal is to live in the middle as much as possible. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing. So just loving it.
You are super busy. I mean, if people log into any social media platform, you are there. But you're always there with this big, beautiful smile as well. Like you're just loving life. You're loving everything that you do. Have you ever taken a bite out of something and said, "Ooh, man, I'm not digging this," and pulled yourself back, or pretty much whatever you do, you love?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you want to do all of the things, and that's like one of the things that I'm learning right now at my ripe old age. So you can't do all of the things. So now I feel like I'm scaling back a little bit, and I mean, it's not for like not having love for it, so to speak. It's more so as a way to be more effective at the things that I do kind of, go all in on. So I really want to be able to go all in.
Yeah.
So still working on finding that balance, whatever that may be. But I'm just loving everything that I get to do when I get to do it. So yeah.
When you first jumped into education, did you see yourself doing what you're doing now?
Oh no, not at all. Like I almost didn't make it like past my first 3 years. But I did. So that, and I think that the early struggles, the early challenges, kind of helped me be better down the line. It kind of gave me more of a sense of empathy for what other educators might be going through. So and I feel like kind of feeling alone and struggling like
Mm.
the first 3 years really drove me to connect later on in my career when I found out about social media. And I mean, by that time I'd already kind of gotten my feet up under me. So I had already, kind of found my own. But when I discovered that all of this was out there, I was just like, oh, like that's kind of what I've been missing all this time. So I jumped, I kind of went in on all of that. So yeah.
So, do you do this for your own benefit? Like your collaborations and your networking and just reaching out to, are you doing it so you can grow yourself?
It's a little of both. I feel like I do it because that's what I would have wanted to have, but
Mm.
I also do feel like I am getting some benefit out of it. So like one of the things that kind of resonated with me, as I've been reading, listening to podcasts, things like that. I've been inspired by people who have seen a need in their own lives, and they found that solution, and then they've scaled it to help others who might be feeling the same way.
Yeah.
Because when you think about, the design process and how empathy is like, the first stage, then what's better to empathize than to actually be facing that problem or have faced it yourself, So definitely finding that need, and then once you find it, then just spread it to as many people as possible.
That's awesome. I remember a couple of years ago, I was listening to a podcast, and you were a guest on the podcast. I wish I could tell who it was so I could give them credit, but I don't remember. But you were talking about EduMatch, and it was in kind of its early stages of really blowing up. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, she's out there trying to play like Farmers Only for educators. She's just trying to make these connections for people that they don't even know they need, and it's taken on a life of its own. So what was your original dream behind EduMatch? And for those people that don't know what EduMatch is, maybe you should tell them what that is too. I mean, you're not out there trying to hook people up, but so talk about EduMatch a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So EduMatch, it's definitely not a dating site for educators. That's like our tagline, like we're not a dating site. But really what we do is that we find people with similar interests and kind of give them a place to connect and to collaborate and to grow. And it's really evolved a lot over the years. Like when I first started it, then I was kind of fooling around, I was just like, like this, I was having fun with it. I made like a really ugly, cheesy logo, and, I put that like as our Twitter picture, and I was just going everywhere like, hey y'all, I created this thing, but it's totally not like it's not Match.com, it's EduMatch, and just playing that whole aspect up. And I had no idea that it was going to actually turn into something. Like I thought that it would, I was just like, might as well see what happens. So at that point, so the idea actually came from a conversation I was having with a friend of mine, Rafrance Davis in Texas. And at the time, she was a coach for math. And so she was talking about fantasy sports, using fantasy sports in her class, or not her class, I'm sorry, but the idea of using fantasy sports in a math classroom. And I said, hey, my cousin used to teach in New York, and he just gave me a book about that, and the two of you need to meet. So at that point, I was just like, there should be something that, kind of introduces people. So, and I thought about another one of my friends who was into gamification. I was just like, okay, so if there was something that would like bring these three people together to have this conversation. So I looked, didn't see anything. So I just, went on Twitter, created an account, and tweeted about what I had in mind. And right away, somebody from Australia responded and said, yes, I'm down to try this out. So I asked him about himself. He told me. So I matched it up with different hashtags and tweeted it out throughout 24 hours. And at the end of the day, asked him how did it go. And he's just like, oh yeah, I met all these people, keep it going. So I was just like, all right, cool. So at that point, I set up a website and a Google form. And by the end of the weekend, there were 10 people signed up. And I mean, the story is, as people joined, they kept on bringing their ideas like, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? And that's how we've grown. So that's 5 years later, that's where we are.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Why do you think it has grown so much? Is it because people are just so thirsty for connection?
I think that is part of it. And I also think that just kind of trying things out and seeing what sticks. Like, I think it's so important to be flexible and be adaptive and just kind of grow and change with the needs, and, being able to like kind of bend as time goes on to meet the needs that are out there. So I think that's kind of what helps us continue to scale and continue to grow. So right now at year 5, it's like a year of reflection. We're about to hit 2020, so the second decade in the 2000s. So right now I'm looking at like everything we have going on. I'm just like, okay, so what's still making an impact? What can we trim so that we can focus on these things that are bringing, more return on our time invested, and kind of double down on those things. So it's all a process, and just, I'm loving, watching the growth of it.
It is pretty sweet. One of the reasons I really look up to you is because you seem like a person that's just willing to go all in. You just take a chance and say, you know what, let's try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I mean, you're everywhere, truly everywhere, doing it all. It's like McDonald's. They are already the biggest franchise around, but yet they've got billboards, they've got TV commercials, they've got everything. And you've got Facebook Live, you've got the Tweet and Talks, you've got podcasts, you've got the website, you've got a publishing company, you've got your day job. I mean, you're just truly out there just whatever, let's see what works, right? Where do you see yourself getting the biggest bang for your buck? And I don't mean buck in terms of like what's the most profitable, but
Right.
what's the biggest impact?
Oh my goodness. It's funny because like it changes. It's changed over time. I would say like at first when we started, Voxer was like brand new.
Sure.
It might not have been a new platform, but educators were just starting to get on Voxer.
Mhm.
And everybody was excited about Voxer. Voxer. So from there, then we started a Voxer group. And I mean, that the conversations are still going to this day
Yeah.
because it's become so much of people's routine. And, we built like these solid friendships over the years. So that still remains a huge part of it. We have a second room now as well because it maxes out at 500. So it's funny because there's like two different cultures to the Voxer rooms. Like there's the first room that kind of started where everybody was excited about Voxer. And then there's a second room where people get really hyped when there's like events going on, right? But like it's kind of quiet the rest of the time. Whereas Voxer Room 1, it's like every day, there's combo to the point where if nobody says anything all day, then somebody's like, is my app broken? So, so Voxer was very, very early on in our growth. And that was kind of like a big part of it. And for a while we were doing guest blogging, and that was going pretty hot. But when we shifted to publishing, to book publishing, and we've been doing our EduSnap, which is pretty much a compilation of people submitting a chapter about what they've learned during the year, and we put that out for free every year. So that kind of took precedence over the blogging, and so we kind of get people's thoughts that way. But yeah, there's been like different ebbs and flows, and right now I would say that the Facebook part is very intriguing. We just kind of shifted over to Zoom webinars because when YouTube Live stopped being powered by Google Hangouts on Air, we could no longer do our video panels. So we started doing the webinars, and I put those on Facebook, and that's starting to gain momentum. So I mean, we're just trying different things out, seeing what works for the times, and always willing to be able to go back. Maybe there might be a point where we circle back to to wherever we began, if it becomes once again a need for our community. So definitely, yeah.
That's awesome. And I love the personal connection that you put into each of these two, because you keep saying, you've got thousands of people now that are all connected into this. But, if you're part of the Voxer groups, if you're not, don't worry, Sarah will connect you in there. But you do this little welcome introduction for every person that joins. And like, you're part of the Facebook stuff, and you're part of the Tweet Talks. Like, you are there. And I think that says a lot, that it's not just a brand. It's truly this. That's powerful.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm sorry, my computer glitched a little bit right now.
Oh, you're good. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Now it's back. Okay, so I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, but absolutely. I love being like a fly on the wall to like all of the discussions and great conversations. Like, I feel like I learned so much by just even being in that space, when people are having those conversations around me. Like, there's some topics on Tweet and Talk that I might not know hardly anything about, and I'm just kind of there just to welcome people and to close it out and let the moderator do their thing. And those conversations, I really learned a lot from those.
And now you've got this day job too. Does the day job and the, for lack of a better term, I'll just call it the side hustle, the passion project, do those worlds ever get messy? Do they ever converge and get in the way of each other?
That's a great question. And I am like a super cautious person by nature, almost to a fault. And I feel like while there is overlap, and where there is overlap, then I work the overlap whenever possible. Like, for example, if there's something that can benefit both worlds, like, let me see, for example, the DigCit Summit that we just did. So that was something that I've been passionate about for a while. I've been connected with Dr. Mary Alice Kern for a long time, and have always, loved being part of that event. And so in my district, then digital citizenship is also a huge focus. So this year, I was very excited because, you know, we were able to promote it like through our channels, through our podcasts, through our newsletter, things like that. So, so I thought that that was great, like that overlap, because I mean, really, it's all the passion about learning and learning together. So, but when it comes to like things that are, I would say the business side, then I make sure not to not to let the
Like
two
business and pleasure. Yeah,
mix.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Do you find yourself learning things in the day job that help inform the other? Because I can definitely see how you grab things from other people around the world and can infuse that into what you're doing in the day job. You know, especially technology innovation. There are people out there that are constantly growing and pushing the envelope. But have you found yourself that the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis are able to help inform the bigger picture for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that all I would say all three of the worlds, like work, the university life, and EduMatch, like all three of them complement each other very well. And I'm always learning different things from each that can help to support um, my other roles. So yeah, so I feel like they're so closely intertwined. So there's always some kind of opportunity to learn and apply new thinking, um, and vice versa, right? For all the different roles.
You know, when we started off, I told you that you were killing this thing called life. And granted, I'm 1,000 miles away from you, but I see it. I mean, I don't have access to all your analytics and all of that stuff, but I see it because I see the influence you're having on me, and I hear the conversations other people are having when they're engaged with you. What is your metric for success? How do you know when you're killing it?
Oh
Or
man.
how will you know if you're going to be humble and act like you're not there yet? What is the goal?
I would say the ultimate goal, and this, I hope this doesn't sound like a cop out because I mean it
Oh, I'll
like
dig
full
deeper if it
force.
is. No worries.
Yeah. It's happiness. It's happiness. And what happiness means to me is being able to do something that helps someone else in some way, shape, or form, while also constantly learning, and feeding that part of me, because I always want to be a scholar of life. Um, so I want to be able to do that and do things that are interesting. So I would say those three things, like, you know, as long as my basic needs are met, then, you know, being able to connect with people, you know, learn from people, grow with people, hopefully being helpful, and learning. Those are things that I would define as my success.
So I'm gonna ask a probing question, and you can deflect if you need to. Were you not happy when you started your career?
Absolutely. Absolutely not. I was not. I came from alternative certification. And I mean, when I graduated from high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I thought about it for a while. I ended up going into television production because my brother worked in TV production. I always loved movies, you know, I always loved making videos, and I learned TV, and I wanted to, like, you know, be a producer or maybe be a filmmaker, radio, TV, film. Um, but I want to say my freshman year of college, it was either my freshman or sophomore year, my mom started teaching in middle school. And so I went down to her class. I would help her set up. I would come in, work with her kids. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that is where I want to be. So of course, by that time, when I made up my mind, and it was already kind of late in the game and I was already done with my credits, but I re-enrolled for grad school. And as I was coming down the stairs one day, coincidentally, I saw a flyer on the wall looking for teachers for a nearby school district. So I was just like, okay, cool. So I applied. They accepted me into this alternative certification program. We had like a summer academy for prep. And I mean, it was a great program. I loved it. When I got to the classroom, I had a lot of learning to do on the job.
Mm.
And I know that I was very anxious and eager, and I jumped the gun, and I went out looking for my own placement. And I should have waited because it wasn't the best fit for me. So my first few years were very, very rough. And I almost didn't make it. I almost did not make it. But I want to say like around year four, I had a very good year, amazing principal. Year five, I would say it was when I really came into my own. It was another school after that. So my first 5 years, I was in 4 schools. So
Wow.
yeah. But year five, I really started to get my legs under me, and you know, kind of grew confidence wise.
Yeah.
My principal was amazing. She was like, I read a book a few years back, The Multiplier Effect, and she
Hmm.
saw what skills I had, and she used those. She trusted me. She grew me as a leader, and invited, risk taking and connections, and that's where I connected with my current team right now that I'm with, and with their help, then I started seeing myself in a different way as well. So and all of those experiences and all of that baggage, for lack of a better term, kind of drives me to keep doing what I do now, to try to make it easier for the ones that are, I was going to say the ones that are coming after me, but also the ones that are ahead of me and to the side of me, just, like this is already a hard job. It's a very rewarding job, but there are definitely some moments that are not easy, and us being there for one another, then that's really what's helped me.
Wow. I mean, I thought I admired you before. That was a powerful story.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
that was that was so good. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about conversations I've had recently with other people, talking about things like the teacher shortage across America, and how so many teachers leave the profession within that 3 to 5 year gap, where you were talking about how hard it was.
Mhm.
And I think oftentimes we try to solve these problems that we've created ourselves with policy and procedure. So you talk about alternative certification, and thank God you had that avenue to get in the door. But I've been in places before that treat people with an alt cert as though it's a crapshoot. They're expendable. We'll bring them in for a trial run for a year or two. If it doesn't work, we'll just go get somebody else, as
Mhm.
opposed to leaning into people. I mean, a statement that you made that was so powerful to me was, you talked about your principal you had in starting in year 4, who said she allowed you to start seeing yourself differently. That
Mhm.
is so huge. You didn't see yourself as expendable or somebody that was going to be tossed to the side. She
Right.
poured value into you, and you started to believe it. Oh, that's so
Yes.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so just grateful for that fourth year. That fourth year was when it really started to turn around, and then that fifth year was like go time. So yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
now you got all the swagger in the world. I mean, that's
Oh,
just, it's so good.
oh,
Uh,
smoke
But,
and
but
mirrors.
but whatever it is, it speaks to so much truth that the problem isn't necessarily going to be solved by just making it easier for people to get their certification. The problem's going to be solved by making the people in the profession feel valued, so that they don't want to leave, and that more people want to join in. So
Right.
preach, preach,
Absolutely.
preach. That was
Uh,
awesome. That
well,
was so
thank
good.
you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And you're right. Like, people really do, want to feel that value. They want to feel like what they're doing, it's doing something,
Yeah.
and you nailed it when you said that people don't want to feel expendable, and early on, I that's exactly how I felt.
Mm, wow. But now you're not. Now you're invaluable to so many. But yet you're still out there pushing yourself. Can I talk about why the PhD that you got? I mean, this is just a question I've got to ask. First of
Sure.
all, why would you pursue a doctorate right now? And then the doctorate that you did pursue, just explain.
Oh goodness. Okay, so the doctorate, that kind of ties into that story I just told. So when I started teaching, I was 22 years old when I on day one of the job, and I kind of felt like, you know, I kind of felt like either I was feeling like folks were thinking, oh, oh, you're a kid, how cute.
Yeah.
It was either that reaction, or it was um the expendable type feeling. So I was just like, okay, I need to do something for job security. So that was one of the reasons that I really wanted to go in and do the doctorate. So I finished my master's 3 years later, and right after that I wanted to just jump in. I was just like, okay, so it's over, it's done, let's keep going, let's not stop. So I just kind of rolled right on through, and it took forever. It took it took 10 and a half years, did not take any breaks, just went straight through. I took the scenic route, I should say.
Hold on, 10.5 years, and that's without taking breaks?
Yeah, 10 and a
Oh
half
my
years
Lord.
breaks. Yeah, because just random stuff kept on happening, like first, like I had a random car like drive into my house, and, it was, I know that's insanity, right? So I got a concussion, all kind of, like, it's just like what could go wrong went wrong, right? But also I would say what kind of slowed me down towards the end was that my family is Haitian. So my parents moved here in the 60s. They had my brother. Then, years after that, they had me. So I went in and I was just like, okay, I want to work with Haitian kids. Like whatever I do, I want to work with Haitian kids. So I started in 2007. Yeah, in spring 2007. And no, fall 2007, my mistake. And so I went in thinking that somehow, my dissertation is going to be involving Haitian students. So throughout this time, as I was working in the classroom, I was just like, oh, I started really getting a passion for ed tech. And I was just like, okay, how can I make my, international education program kind of reflect this ed tech? So my topic became flipping, well, at first it was going to be the flip classroom, but then it morphed into student created videos. So I was looking for a Haitian student in an ESOL class that would create videos to kind of scaffold their learning, to help them, learn vocabulary and things of that nature. And so the issue was that I could not find these kids. Like my population was like this big, like I was looking for specifically kids in underrepresented areas, so where they might be the only Haitian student in the class, or one of a few, and they were not like the dominant group in their ESOL class. And so I went through so many different teachers that were saying, oh yeah, this is a great idea, but with all this, with everything that I have on my plate, trying to learn how to get my kids to integrate, to have them create videos, that's too much. And so one by one, it was like dominoes. People would sign up and then drop out, and sign up and then drop out. And then I hit a jackpot thanks to my PLN. I was in a Voxer group, and I said what I was looking for. And someone said, I know exactly the person. And that's how it happened. That's how I found the one. And the teacher was already doing that. So it just worked out perfectly. So I ended up going to a case study. It was going to be initially like at least 2 students, but I had to go with what I could go with because time was running out. So
why don't you just give up and shift focus?
I didn't want to. I'm stubborn. I really wanted it to be with my I wanted it to be with the Haitian kid, because that's that's what I was when I grew up. I mean, I granted I was born and raised here, but I wanted to work with a kid from my parents' country. So yeah.
Have you ever given up on anything?
Yeah, I have. I give up on stuff, and usually when I give up on it, then I might go back to it sometimes. Yeah, but
You take a pause.
yeah, I take a break. I take lots of breaks. So there's some loose ends I definitely need to tie up at some point. Yeah.
So the fact, I mean, that you keep doing more and more and more, do you feel like more and more weight on you all the time? Do you feel like you're just continuing to carry a bigger load, or are you able to shed things that you can take a new route?
Yeah, right now I think I'm in the process of shedding. So, there's been a lot of shifts lately, professionally, personally. So I'm just kind of trying to realign, readjust, and get ready for the next chapter of my life. So just really excited about that.
That's awesome. And I appreciate that about you too, is that you're constantly reflecting. You're constantly looking for what's next, not just what's the next big thing so you can ride a wave, but what's going to be best for you, what's going to fill you, and what's going to bring value to others, which is super cool. And now, I mean, you even have a staff working for you, don't you?
Yeah, like a great team of folks. And I mean, I love the fact that, the oh my gosh, like I'm just geeking out, and I can't even fully grasp what I have like right now, like the people I get the opportunity to work with. It's just so amazing. And I feel like I'm living the dream, just like being able to collaborate with all of these amazing folks. So, I mean, we have like different teams set up. We have, the EduMatch publishing team. So we have several people with several roles who really, really, really have scaled the publishing beyond like my expectations. Like I would have
Yeah.
never imagined. And it's all, because of their vision, their work. We also have
And
like,
you've had some, I mean, you've had some great projects out there too. I
oh
mean,
yes, the authors. Oh
oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm like eating them up.
yeah, I'm in disbelief. Just
It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
yeah, the authors, like I'm just really geeked about being able to collaborate with the amazing folks that we do work with. I mean,
Yeah.
their ideas are just remarkable. So it's so
That's
great to
sweet.
be able to work with them. Yeah.
So what's next?
What's next? So a couple things that we have coming down the pike. The nonprofit part of EduMatch, we started up back in 2017. So we received a very generous donation from a foundation. So we have now mini grants. So our call for mini grants is currently open. So we're looking for like projects from educators or from students, just that will scale, and just make that impact. So that's one thing that we have going on right now. I can't wait to see like who ends up getting them, what they end up doing with them. That's just going to be really cool. And hopefully we can continue that as long as we can and continue to level that up. We're looking into doing also some videos, some more videos. Shout out to Dr. Will with the Edupreneur. He kind of kicked it off for us. Yeah. And so we have a second documentary that we're working on right now, and also his Edupreneur 2. We have a lot of great books coming down the pike. So those are cool. And we also have, a couple of aces up our sleeves. So,
So surprises. Okay. We'll wait and see.
Okay. Yeah.
So is the goal to just continue to reach out and connect with as many different people, or is the goal to have like a singular voice and connect people that are connected around a unified cause?
Yeah, so we're kind of like magnetic octopus. We have like we
That
have
is awesome.
yeah, we have like all these different arms doing like, different things, but the goal is to bring them all together so that everything just kind of, feeds another part of it, and
Yeah.
we really want to connect with, as we like, one of our core values is about representation. So, I mean, there's so many voices out there. There's so many stories out there, so many perspectives. And, we want to hear all of them. We want everyone to have their megaphone,
Right.
Yeah. So absolutely. So that's really what we believe in.
Especially what I appreciate about you, and you say this explicitly on your website, I mean, everywhere, that you really want to try to give the voice to the people that haven't had a voice. You want to try to magnify those that have maybe historically felt like they couldn't speak out, or have just somehow internally felt like they didn't have that voice. And that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Like, we can all learn so much from one another. So definitely just trying to help get those perspectives out there that we don't always hear.
That's awesome. So speaking of voice, I'm going to give you the opportunity here, because there's a lot of people listening right now. A lot of people are signing in and downloading because they saw that Sarah's on. So they're here and they're hanging on everywhere. They're driving the car. Maybe they're pulling over right now. If you are driving, pull over. Okay. If you're cleaning the house, stop running the vacuum. You got to listen to this. Okay. I'm going to give Sarah about 30 seconds. She might take 30 minutes. Who knows? But about 30 seconds. Just give us some truth. What do we all need to know? What's going to make us better? What's going to make education better? What's going to make the world better? This is your opportunity. I'm going to just sit back and listen to Sarah drop the mic.
All right. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go in. All right. So I feel that that we all need to connect, and we need to go beyond the surface connections, because a lot of times we make those surface connections. Hey, how you doing? You're an educator? I'm an educator. Cool. All right. Well, nice to meet you. Let's keep the convo going. All right, cool. And Zoom, and conversation's over. But really what I found is that the deeper connections are what really changes things for us as educators and for our students. When we get to know someone beyond, the surface, and just really dig deep down, make those friendships, like legit friendships with one another, being open to do that with people from all around the world, strangers, and soon those strangers become friends, and soon, those friends become family, and we can, just like how we can fight with our family, we can be real with our family, same thing with our peers around the world. So that's and quite honestly, that can be a challenge, and that can be very scary to be vulnerable. I know that I have many shortcomings, and anytime I reveal any of them that I might be trying to hide, then it's always a scary, scary thing. But none of us have it all together. Nobody is perfect. So just being honest, being authentic, and being willing to open up and let those walls down and get other perspectives in, bring them in, and just embrace them. So I guess that's my advice.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And just for the record, I'm going back and I'm going to replay that over and over and over again, because there's so much truth that just speaks to me. One of the best pieces of advice I ever heard was from somebody that told me the leader or the teacher that reveals their weaknesses is revealing nothing new. Because, everybody already saw them. You were just trying to hide them. The only person you were hiding it from was yourself. Everybody else already saw them. So as soon as you just put it out there, you have this freedom now. Now we can grow together. And the people that listen to you and lean into you finally start to embrace you. So yeah, I love that advice. I love that wisdom. Just keep connecting, make it real. And this is from the woman with more than 50,000 Twitter followers. I mean, it's more than a number to you, though, because you still reach out to the Voxer groups. And like I said, you're still making those connections, and you're still doing all of this with as many people as you can. And if you're not available for them, you're making connections that they can lean into somebody else. So I'll say it again. You're killing this thing called life, Sarah.
Oh, thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate you. And as are you. Like, I learned so much from you, and I really appreciate, the opportunity every time we get to talk, and every time I get to learn with you. So thank you.
It's awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And I just hope that you go out and have an amazing rest of your day.
Well, thank you so much. You do the same.